Okay, hey guys, this is the video for oiling rods and rollers. I'm going to try to show you one or two different examples of oiling these mechanisms. So, in today's world, most repair techs and manufacturers will use synthetic oil, like this Hetman's synthetic oil that you'll see on my desk. It's just easier to use, it's easier to clean. It works a whole lot better than natural-based oils like motor oil and others that were commonly used in the past. The problem with that is that if you haven't cleaned it out, or if you don't know what's been used, and you try to mix the natural-based lubricant with this synthetic-based lubricant, it will mix together and conglomerate into this icky paste substance that does not work very well as a lubricant. So, big lesson there, don't mix, always clean out before you put new in. So, when you're going in to oil a rod or roller, what you'll need to do is you'll need to release the spring tension on the key for which you're going to be oiling. So I'm going to show you with this trill key right here, this side C key, right? So if we're looking at the saxophone, it'll be this key, which operates the side C trill. It's this key. So we need to find where the spring tension is for this key, right? Because there's a little needle spring somewhere in here that applies tension to help close it after I press the button. And it looks like our spring is right there. So what we have to do is we have to release the tension. A lot of places will use spring hooks, but you can use your finger or a screwdriver. This one's really easy. All you have to do is push out a little bit and then slowly let it come forward so that it's not on the same. So if I press the key down, its own weight is resting and allowing the instrument to come up and down like that. So with this one, you might also have to undo this spring right here because it's on the same mechanism. So for that, I'm going to use my screwdriver and I'm just going to release that spring tension as well. So, okay, kids, no saxophones were harmed in the making of this video. And okay, there we go. That one is good. So now we are going to move on to the next part. So after you've released the spring tension, what you need to do is you need a screwdriver that matches pretty closely with its tip facing to the screw head that you're looking at. You mainly just want to do this so that you don't strip out the screw head and make it more difficult to get out or put back in. So you're going to keep it on a generally level plane. And you're going to lefty-loosey, which means turn to the left, and slowly extract the rod from the posts. You'll reach a point where the screw is no longer in the other post, so you will reach a point and it'll just quit moving out, and what you'll do is take another cloth and gently grab onto the rod and pull out the rod. So here's our rod. I'm going to place it over here on my little towel thing. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull that key off. So that key just comes right off. And this one doesn't have a whole lot of adjusting that you can do to it. So that's really okay. What you need to do now, after you have removed the spring tension and you've removed the rod and you've taken the key off, the next thing you need to do is take a pipe cleaner. I have yellow ones, but they can be any color. Take a pipe cleaner, and what you have to do is you have to go through the tube the rod was in, and just go back and forth. You really just want to clean out all the oil that was in there so you don't mix lubricants. You'll also want to do this in the posts, so the two spots on the saxophone where the rod was. Just get those out and clean those out. You just want to get all the oil out. Next up, you're going to take that cloth from earlier, and you're just going to wipe off the rod. Just be careful not to bend the rod. These little short ones are not that big of a problem for that. They don't bend easier or as easy, but the longer ones will bend pretty easy, and you don't want to bend them because then you'll have to get a new one, and those are not fun to replace. So now that we've cleaned them out, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take our oil or our lubricant. They make specific Saxophone key oil. This stuff works just as well. So what you're going to do is you're going to take it and you're going to, over a cloth, you're going to drop 1, 2. There we go. You're just going to drop those in through the hinge tube right there. And then you're going to put it back in place, right? So we're going to fit this key back between the 2 posts. Okay, and now what we're going to do is we're going to put our rod back through, and we're just going to kind of wiggle it and jiggle it back in place until everything is lined back up and the rod's almost in. So now the rod is holding the weight of the key, but it's not all the way in yet. So what I want you to do now is take the rod and pull out just a little bit and drop one little drop, 1 or 2 drops on the rod. And then what you have to do is you have to rotate and pull inwards and outwards, and that helps distribute the oil that you put in the tube and that you just put on the rod. And then screw back in. It's important to note that you don't have to screw all the way in until your wrist hurts or until you're like cranking stuff down. You really just want the key to move under its own weight. So if you'll see, I'm pushing the pad up and it falls back under its own weight. That means that the screw is pretty good in place and it's not tightened so far that it won't move. And that is how you oil a wow, I forgot the word. That's how you oil a rod. You can do the same thing up here on these, your palm keys in the left hand. You just do the same exact thing. You remove the screw, you run a pipe cleaner through it, and then you wipe off the rod, apply the oil, and put it back in. These are different because they have flat springs and you can't relieve that tension, so you'll just have to hold them steady. That's the big difference. For rollers, there's a screw right here for B flat that you have to undo, and that'll help this key mechanism just come completely off, and then there'll be another screw for the roller, do the same thing. So that's how you oil rods and rollers. It's really important that that you do this, or you have a technician do this with synthetic oil one time at least, and then after that you can do it yourself. And it's really easy because after you know what lubricant you've used, you can pull the rod out just a little bit and do that last step, and that'll be good enough. So you can do that every 2 or 3 months, just to put a little bit more oil back in the horn, and then every year clean it out, put new in. Yeah, just always go one key at a time, always do one mechanism at a time. I took this off, and then I did it, and then I'm going to put it back, and then I'm going to do the next one. That's how it works. Don't take off all of them and try to do them all at one time. It doesn't work. So yeah, that's the oiling part.